People are going to just have to deal with, oh my God, that I have a lozenge.
Sorry.
I have a lozenge
sit
in
up,
my
sit
mouth.
up, sit up.
Whoa,
I gotta
whoa,
fix it.
Okay.
It's not stretched out. I think it's less to do with
Oh.
the thing breaking, and it's not stretched out. Here we go. Oh, you're in a
Oh,
hole.
hell yeah.
Maybe you're in a hole.
I created the hole
God.
I'm in.
There's so much happening here. I gave you the worst chair. Hang on. I'll sit on the ground. I don't care.
No.
Okay.
I'm not too big. I can do.
I think it was a hole.
Okay, we'll move you up closer.
That's what I think happened. A mole hole. I got
mole hole. Okay, come on, sit on down.
Okay.
This chair is perfectly fine.
Okay.
It's me that's the problem.
No, it's not. It was a rat hole.
Okay, hey Liz, how are you?
I'm good.
We've started, by the way. To start off, I just wanted to give you this. I found it online and I went, okay, I need to get this. And then I started opening it and I was like, no, the package is so fun. I have to let you open it. So I haven't even looked at this yet.
Okay. Let me see. What is this? What the heck?
I didn't realize it'd be so tiny, but
what is it? Is it a sloth? A lemur?
I think it's a monkey of some sort.
Oh,
yes.
It's hilarious. Okay.
Wait, what? Yeah. So I got that for you.
Thank
I gotta
you
get
so
a
much.
picture of it later.
That's
yeah,
amazing.
it reminded me of you. So
thank you, and I love that this reminded
yeah
me. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's a magnet. Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, Liz. Well, now that we have that out of the way, could you tell me who you are, how we know each other, and what you do?
My name is Liz. Should I?
No, just skip that. Just
Got
Liz.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's Liz. We went to church together. I was good friends with your older sister. Spent time at your house hanging out. Many hours at church, roller skating to big band music. You know, we lived.
Oh yeah.
We lived the dream.
That was a high life. And then what do you do?
I'm a aircraft mechanic in the Air Force.
And a hot mom. Can
Wow.
we just raise up? Okay. Anyways, that's amazing. And I wanted to talk about how today is about something more personal than it is work, really. So we're not talking about what you do in the Air Force. We're talking about a past relationship you had. Before we get to that, though, I was wondering, what was your church involvement growing up? Like, what was that like?
I would say like poster child, church kid. I was always a little sassier probably than I should have been. My parents were less strict than a lot of, there's such a spectrum, because when I talk to people that I know who didn't grow up religious at all, they're like, wow, cult. And I'm like, no. Because I knew people who had much stricter parents, but my parents didn't make me wear dresses to church. I could wear pants, which was so scandalous to some people, not to others. But I taught Sunday school. I taught kids clubs. I participated in Vacation Bible School. I went to Jesus Camp every summer, and I was a counselor there. And how my beliefs have changed aside, that was truly the best job I've ever had, was being a camp counselor.
Yeah.
So
what'd you like about it?
Just getting paid to do fun stuff all day and hang out with kids. And you know, unfortunately, these kids idolize you, even though you're like 2 years older than them, and they think you're amazing. But, you know, you can have an impact for better or worse, and you have a lot of fun times. So.
Yeah. Hey, I've been there, done that. I love it too. Well, I always say that there's someone I'm interviewing, I think tomorrow, like used to volunteer with me at a church. And he's very like type A, like he's a teacher, okay? And I'm in the back being like, oh, with the kids.
You need that balance.
I know. And one day they gave me the responsibility of like checking everybody in and out of the bus. And I started it, and immediately I was like, this job is not for me, and we will not be repeating this mistake. And Mike's in the back trying to tell the kids to sit down and stuff. And I was like, why are you doing that? They're just going to fool around anyway. So we switched positions, and now he's the one that, or he did that. And I was like,
there's a rule for everybody. You know?
There's a rule for everybody but me, you know? But then I would just have to stop and be like, hey, we probably shouldn't like punch each other, but we can just casually. Casually, let's not do that. I am an adult. Okay, so I was wondering too, once you have been growing up, you've been involved in the church for so long, you know, you're at camps and doing all that fun stuff. Who did you meet at a certain church camp?
I met my ex-husband.
You met your ex-husband. Woo! The guy we're going to talk about today. Lucky him. Okay, and how long were you together, and why did he become your ex?
We were together from the time that I was 20. Was I 21? I was almost 21, so I was 20 until I was 29. The full span of our marriage and relationship. Obviously, you know, the Jesus lifestyle was a very quick courtship. Get it done, you know, quick. He was very abusive, physically, emotionally, mentally, all of the things that you could be. And eventually I left.
And here you are.
Yes.
I'm glad to hear that. But before getting into the heaviness of your relationship, could you describe what it was like at the beginning? So like, what did your ex do to bond over with you, and how did he make you feel at that time of 20 years old?
I would say now, because I'm old and I've read things, that I would call it like classic love bombing. I had a lot of my own issues, and those issues set me up to be very easily, I would say, manipulated, love bombed. And, you know, I was starved for affection. I was insecure. I was starved for attention. And he was someone I had always thought was very attractive, and I'd known him for a long time. And he had a very quirky, goofy sense of humor, which that's what always, you know, drew me to him before. And he was very moody. I guess I don't know what is broken in the generation of women that I grew up in, but we love a moody, sad boy.
Of course.
We do.
Because they're not being mean at that point. They're just sad. And
we
you
feel
want to
bad.
fix sad.
Yeah, and that's gross to me now. However,
right.
At the time, that's probably what drew me in. And he was in the military, and he was deployed when we started talking, and he had plenty of time on his hands.
Right,
So.
right. Is there any example where you remember just like how it felt though to be love bombed? Like what is that feeling like? Because obviously you don't realize that's happening at the moment.
Right. I guess addicting, really, you know, in the way that I grew up. My parents had taught us that dating, as the world said to date, was frivolous and wrong, and you should always be dating with intention, because you're dating to protect your heart and prepare yourself for your husband, not to just hang out or whatever. So it was always very serious very quickly anyway in the Christian space, which I think sets you up to be love bombed easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say it was addicting, because I'd had a few relationships, but I hadn't really dated until I was 18.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any kind of experience with being bamboozled by a man yet.
Mm-hmm.
That loop of, you know, being drawn in, being love bombed, being told that you're everything and amazing.
Yeah.
And then, you know, silence, and then that's the loop.
I'm looking off into the distance in like past memories right now.
Yeah.
No, I totally get that. And again, when you are 20 years old, you're really just trying to figure out who you are. So when someone else tells you, hey, you're amazing, you're this or that, like, why wouldn't you want that? You know?
And that's all, when you're that insecure in yourself, that's all you want to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. I Googled this. It says Easy Llama defines red flags as a warning sign or an indicator of potential problem or concern. Easy Llama is a website if you need to look it up. Was what red flags appeared early on, and how was it normalized?
I mean, the first red flags were part of the love bombing was the silence. And it wasn't like a country to country silence because he was deployed. It was, I had said something that irked him, and I don't even know what it was. And he went silent. You know, of course, I'm begging him, what's wrong? What did I do? I'm so sorry. And he came back from that with some sad song. I don't remember.
Right. Yeah.
I will laugh if I hear it. But it was some sad song, and it was some explanation about how he's a sad boy and he gets sad and this happens. You hate me now. You don't want to talk to me. Gross, right? But back then, I would say in a lot of ways immature for my age, because I hadn't had a lot of experience in things like that. That was a big red flag in the beginning, but it did activate that loop of being ignored, putting myself out there, like life or death, what happened, where is he, like, and then him coming back in and love bombing me again. Shortly after he'd come back from his deployment, there was an instance where he got incredibly jealous because of a friend of mine had stopped at my house while everyone was there. There was no alone time. There was nothing truly to be jealous about, but I think that's when he started to get in my head and make me question my own self, because he was super jealous. He screamed at me in his car. No one in my life had ever screamed at me.
Yeah.
I have great parents who are kind and loving, and they never yelled at me at all, ever. And to be screamed at by someone who says that they love you was so confusing to me. But of course, you know, because of my own issues and the love bombing and the attraction that I had to him, I just was like, wow, this is my fault.
Right.
You know?
So in that instance, because I know it can be kind of like night and day with those things. Actually, that might be next question, but I don't care. What was it like to like be on the good side of that then? Like, did you feel like you were doing all the work to like get back to a place where he almost like approved of you, or would he switch his tune the next day? What was that?
I think as he set the hook, the bait of locking me in for a long time, it was more, you know, he would do something insane or say something crazy or just be an asshole.
Yeah, right.
And I would internalize it. My self-esteem was in the shitter. And I would say, oh, it's my fault. I'm so awful. I'm so sorry. I'd beg his forgiveness. And he'd say, no, it's me. I'm so awful. I'm the saddest boy alive. It's not your fault. And that's how we would both be in this toxic cycle until down the road. And I don't know if it's because he was just tired or he was more depressed. He did have mental health issues.
Right,
and, you know, that's not to sneeze at those, because they were very real. But
two things can coexist at the same time, right? You can be depressed and not an asshole, or you can be depressed and be an asshole, right?
Right, and you need to continuously choose to do better. But he eventually became so apathetic, I think, towards me that he would behave in a monstrous way and we would just move on.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be, he used to buy me expensive jewelry. That was fun for a while. I need to pawn those, by the way. I think
Maybe
they're
we
cursed.
should like do like a shoot with them and then just like
Right?
throw them in a river
I
or
was
something.
going to give them away, but I'm like, no, that's bad juju. But eventually he stopped buying me jewelry and he stopped being kind to me pretty much ever. Just that was it. Pack it up, move it on. The next day might be better, might be worse.
Yeah, it's kind of like giving up the bit.
Yeah.
It's like,
We're
I
both
got
like,
tired.
I guess this is what we're doing.
Yeah. Interesting. Whoa. Okay, so what was it like having a husband? Oh, there we go. I did that one already. You have a loving family and supportive friends. How much did they know about your situation and how did they react once they found out? Because that must have been quite a shock for everybody.
I would say that nobody really knew the full breadth of how awful he was to me, because I am a yapper and I do like to tell people now, especially I tell people every horrible thing, every personal thing, because I don't like silence about things that should be brought out. So I've gone too far the other way. But back then, I still was a person who liked to talk to my friends. I had a lot of friends and I always would phrase, I'm having a hard time because my husband is having a hard time because his mental health is bad.
Right.
And that was not a lie.
Yeah.
That was super true. But I never really, people would ask me questions sometimes that made me think maybe they thought there was more to it. But I never said, also, he is abusing me. So it didn't really come out until his main mental health crisis where I eventually left. And then people knew.
Okay, so this is something I now am thinking about. So if you had a lot of friends at the time and he was being abusive at home, would he come out with you a lot or was he more of a homebody? Like, did anybody see any signs and like say, hey, Liz? Yeah.
This is, I guess, pretty textbook, but I didn't see it for what it was. I eventually began to separate our social lives. He didn't have as many friends because it wasn't a good friend. It couldn't be a good person, couldn't be a good friend.
Yeah.
If it was with his friends on his terms, his idea, he would typically behave himself pretty well. And people are like, oh, nice guy.
Right. Yeah.
But if it was my plan, my friends, the timing was off, or he just wanted to ruin my day, or especially my family, this is what they say is normal, right? Anybody that is kind to me, that loves me, is a support system for me, he's going to sabotage that relationship.
Right.
So I remember one time, one of my work friends, my manager, such a sweetheart, she was having an engagement party. I do this with my husband now because I'm so traumatized. I'm better, but I'll tell him months in advance.
Yeah.
I will make sure that he's made aware of it weekly. I couldn't spring anything on him.
Yeah.
If I really wanted to go, I would tell him months in advance. And I was so excited to go to this party. I'd bought tickets and we got in the car and he shut down, he got moody, he got mean, and he wouldn't talk to me. And I'm like, I don't want to go to this party like this. Like then the start of the screaming, the driving like a maniac, we turned around and we went home.
Yeah.
And the next day, that was early on. So the next day I remember him apologizing to me. I'm so sorry. And it's like, he wasn't sorry. He didn't want to go to this party. He wanted to sabotage it. And he wanted me to feel like it was my fault.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, that's what he'd do. But I eventually I would get so stressed out trying to involve him in my family stuff, having people over. I just stopped doing it because it was never worth the stress and the meanness. I had one party where he told me, let's have a New Year's party. And I was like, sweet, let's do it. And I was pumped because I was drinking a lot and I love to party. And the night of the party, he's like, no, this is terrible. I hate you. And he disappeared. And eventually I kept trying to coax him downstairs. He went downstairs. He participated. The next day is one of the worst episodes of abuse I'd ever had because, and it was so confusing because it didn't matter how many times I asked his permission or whatever, or prepped him. If he didn't want me to do the thing, he was going to make my life hell. Yeah. I forget what your original question is because I went on a tangent.
Here, wait, let me see.
Oh, was it a secret?
Yeah. So when that finally came crashing down, right, and everybody does find out, because my mom would freak out, be like, how did I not know? How did this happen? You know what I mean?
Right,
was that happening left and right, or?
Nobody was like, wow, this is the biggest surprise of my life.
Okay, yeah.
They were like, okay.
Right, 9 years down the road or whatever.
That kind of checks. Because, it was always the excuse of moody boys being moody and sad boys being sad. So I'm here alone. I still have a hard time. I can't drive to parties or anything and events with my husband because my car anxiety, and he's a sweetie pie.
Yeah.
He's never even thinking about how he's going to fight with me. But in my brain, if I get in the car with my husband to go to a shared event, he's going to scream at me. He's going to drive like a maniac. I'm probably going to die. It's going to be bad. So I have to drive myself to events. And I think eventually people put the pieces together. Yeah. But until it all, kind of blew up in their faces, they didn't know.
What's interesting about that to me is there's so many different types of people and how they abuse, right? So you were still able to go see people. You still had your friends and all this stuff, but he was not involved. It was very separate.
Yeah.
Which honestly, me and my husband are very independent, but it was like, hey, I'm going to this thing. You want to go? He's like, no, but I hope you have the best time.
Right.
You know,
and I love
that's the difference.
That's what you want.
Yeah, exactly. But it's interesting how it's like, well, I am free, right? Like I can go wherever I want, but at the end of the day, it's like you still have this thing tethered to just
it was
always.
So stressful because
it's a constant alert.
I think I stopped doing a lot more things. I had anxiety about leaving my house at a certain hour of the day too. Like, or if my husband comes home now at a certain time of the day that I don't expect him, I'm sweating.
Yeah.
Like I'm very social. So for me to cut down from like doing everything all the time to like doing probably a medium amount of stuff, to me was a big deal. Probably that's what kept it from looking, as suspicious,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would like to punch him, but I won't. Okay, so you joined the military in 2013. What did your first deployment in 2007 teach you about your relationship, Liz?
First deployment, even just in conjunction with leaving for tech school and boot camp, really taught me that I was happier in a lot of situations that other people might not enjoy simply because I was not with my ex-husband.
What were those situations?
I mean, deployment, you're working hard. I'm not in a combat role. I wasn't in combat, but I work in aircraft maintenance and I'm out in the flight line. I'm in 120-degree heat. I'm sweating, I'm stinking. I'm working 12-hour days, like 6 days a week. The food is not really optimal. I mean, it's pretty good. Airforce is the best. And I'm like, wow, this is fun. Like I don't think I'd laughed in a couple years.
Yeah.
And I was laughing my ass off every day with these idiots that I worked with, and they're great people, but they were dummies. And just being able freely to laugh and to talk to a male, like it was so freeing. And it was like every time I'd think about having to go home, I was excited to see my dog and my family. And there's like these disconnected parts of you where that like you should be pumped to see your husband. You love your husband. And I did love him.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to see him. I didn't want to go home. And it was very hard to reconcile. Like, yeah, I'm so excited. I don't want to go home.
Right. What is that about? Like, did you realize why, or was that kind of the moment?
It was starting to hit then.
Yeah.
It was definitely starting to hit because it was less than a year after I deployed that I ended up leaving, just under a year. Yeah. So the wheels really started turning then when I'm like, wow, I'm deployed and this is more fun than being home in a nice house. That's a problem.
Oh, wait a second.
Right.
Now, why did you join the military and how did your ex feel about that?
I had a few reasons. The reasons that I typically would tell people at the time that I joined were because I had student loans. I was finishing up my bachelor's degree and I had student loans that I didn't know how I was going to pay off. And I was doing hairdressing, making okay money, but there weren't good benefits. I had my husband's benefits, of course, but the money wasn't where I wanted it to be, especially to pay off those loans. So that was my main safe reason to tell people. And I think the internal reason that I didn't even admit to myself was I needed an avenue of escape that would give me benefits, that would give me confidence to get out of there.
Yeah. What is that like to be in an abusive relationship where you're making less money and don't have benefits? What does that feel like?
I think it's harder for other people that aren't me, but I'm very stubborn and independent and I don't like to ask for help. My parents are lovely. They could have easily scooped me up, financially supported me, and I know they would have. When I left my ex-husband, I moved in with my brother for 3 months.
Yeah.
And they were very kind and very generous to me. So for me personally, I felt trapped because I didn't want to be like a fuck up.
Yeah.
Something that Barbara, I love you, Barbara, my mom, something that she always has joked about is she doesn't want her kids living in her basement, which is a joke on her because we have Charles, my brother moved in with her. I moved in with him. Yeah. It's funny, but I always had that. And I know she's joking.
Right.
She's always welcomed us with open arms, but I always had that in the back of my head is, oh shit, I'm supposed to be this big success that I've already invested so much into this marriage. Yikes.
Yeah, you want to make everybody proud.
Yeah. And it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to be like, wow, I was wrong. I knew I was wrong on my wedding day. That's what's more embarrassing.
That's interesting you talk about that because I remember there was a photographer in our church. She took your wedding photos and I remember seeing them and being like, wow, they're so good. I want to be a photographer. So it's that's one of the first weddings I saw.
You were probably there were you there for the reception?
No, I don't know what I was doing, but no, I wasn't around.
Your sister was in it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, what the hell? Michaela. So we know the situation was bad. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this isn't an easy situation to discuss with others. What did you notice in others that helped and hindered? Well, actually, before we get there, I didn't write this in, but I was wondering if you'd be okay telling us what it was like the night you left.
The night that I left, I might cry.
Hey, that's why we got the shades on, honey. That's okay. I'll cry with you.
I didn't think I would cry. I'm such a baby.
Well, how was it? Could you tell me what it felt like to have your family come? Because I know your family showed up, right? It was your brother and your father.
Yeah, and one of my good friends at the time. It was the hardest night of my life, and I've done a lot of hard things. I've had a lot of hard things in my life that I've had to navigate, and leaving that night was the hardest night of my life.
Yeah.
But I've never felt more resolute in a very messy situation where I felt very unstable and insecure about my whole entire life, because the people that I needed to show up for me showed up for me.
Yeah.
And they could have asked a lot of questions and tried to make me make a different choice, but
right.
I think at that point, especially for my dad, he just knew like I wasn't safe.
Yeah. So how quick was that from you reaching out to asking to them appearing at your house?
Everything with me leaving happened really quickly. And it's all blur,
Mm-hmm.
My ex ended up in the psychiatric ward of a hospital. He was inpatient for a couple weeks. And it gave me some clarity because especially having everything out in the open. Yeah. My in-laws knew what was going on. Right. And I love them. I still love them. I wish I was in contact, but they knew what was happening and they supported me 100%, which is amazing. My parents knew what was happening. I had a little pushback from my in-laws and my mom, I would say, when I first started talking about how I couldn't do this anymore. Yeah. Because they're both sets of Christians, very traditional, serious in their face, and but they didn't understand what was happening. So once they realized like it wasn't safe, it was dangerous, and I believed he would have killed me someday, they were very supportive. I'd say from the time he ended up in the inpatient, I was probably home for a week by myself. Yeah. And every day I was like, I don't want him to come back here, and I don't want to be here. Yeah. And I think it was the night before he came home. I think that's when I was like,
let's not do tomorrow with this guy.
I can't do this anymore.
Right. That's insane. How long did it take to move everything out?
I took what did I have at that time? 2 cats, 2 dogs, 2 chinchillas. Is that it? That's it.
That's all you need.
I took my clothes.
Yeah.
I took my dogs and pillow. I love makeup. I took all my makeup. There's things I wish I'd taken, like my KitchenAid mixer. Yeah. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Probably burned it, but no, I really didn't take much at all, which, he had a lot of animosity after the initial shock of it all, and him buttering me up and trying to get me to not leave. He was so mean to me, and he was so angry, and he was threatening me. He's like, well, when we get divorced, I'm gonna stick you with all my credit card debt. I'm like, okay, good luck, first of all, but I could have tried to take some of the house. I could have taken a couch. Yeah, right. I could have taken a dish. Yeah. I took nothing. So, I got out of there, and I was paying his utilities for a few months when I didn't even live there, because the brainwashing of, feeling bad for him was just so deep. Yeah. But it was quick. Yeah. I don't know. I moved out in a day. There was a little back and forth. I moved in with my brother for a few months while I was looking for a house. I had no money. I had terrible credit. I had no money. I had no savings, but I had the VA home loan because I had just deployed. So somehow I managed to buy a house, and that was wonderful. But I left him one dog that I super regret leaving him. But she was a little snappy, and she tended to bite people.
So you're like, you can stay with him. You can bite him for me.
I left him. TT was his cat, his mom's cat. I left her, and that I think morally was the right thing to do. Fat Carl, my orange cat, I did leave him for a while, but I got him back, and
hell yeah.
So I ended up with I had 3 dogs then. Holy shit. Taco, Meatball, and Rumham.
Aww.
Rest in peace, Rumham.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah, I don't know what the question was, but there was a lot of dogs and cats.
Yeah, involved. No, that's cool. I like it. I like that. Okay, so I'm gonna revamp this question that I have next. So I know it's not easy to discuss this. Obviously, you were kind of caged in for so long, and then now you're all of a sudden free, and at least the physical space around you, maybe not mentally, we didn't feel so safe, but to just contextualize this, the reason why we're talking today is because you have shared a lot of this already on Facebook.
I do be oversharing.
Yeah, and I loved it, because I'm just on there reading stuff.
Not everyone does.
I thought it was fascinating. I was like, oh my God, what the hell?
People like lore, you know, but if it's helpful lore.
Yeah, exactly. I just realized that it's like 26 minutes, so I'm just going to stop and start this camera. Okay, so anyways, we were saying that you got out.
I began to overshare on the internet.
We're beginning to overshare on the internet, but even before that, I wanted to ask you online that you had mentioned that like the true colors came out of a lot of people. So what helped you heal, and what about others' reactions did not help?
I would say you don't get more real than having a public divorce when you grow up in a super churchy environment where divorce is real frowned upon. And then, you know, you deal with your trauma in a semi-public way because you have a lot of, everybody's a church friend for the most part.
Everybody's a friend on Facebook. Yeah.
People do have a lot to say. A lot of people don't really want to talk about the messy side of why people go through divorce and talk about abuse. They want it to be sanitized, and they want to put their spin on it that makes them feel good. Like, it doesn't have to be their trauma, but they will be uncomfortable if you cope with it in a different way than they would have. Yeah. So I healed very messy. I'm still healing messy. Yeah. When I left, a lot of other bad things happened, and I was spiraling. Like, I could not hold myself together. I have no idea how I managed to go to work. I stayed going to work. I stayed at my job. Thank God for my coworkers and my boss, but I was drinking every day, blacking out every weekend. I was happier I was freer. I wasn't happier.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. So could you remember then, and you don't have to be specific about anything, that's not what I'm trying to get at, but I'm just trying to understand, like, what is the emotion behind, like, hey, I'm starting to spin out, like, what rabbit hole would you go down in your mind that you're like, hey, I actually am really scared now, even though you are removed from that situation?
I think when you have to rationalize someone's abuse for almost 10 years, when you take away the construct of that little bubble that you've created that makes everything make sense, then you start to question everything. Yeah. Like, I didn't know who I was, because the only person I was a person who had to be careful every day how they breathed. I couldn't answer the phone a certain way. I couldn't wear my hair a certain way because it would piss him off. Yeah. Which is crazy. But I didn't know who I was. I didn't even know what foods I liked. I didn't know what kind of clothes I liked to wear. I didn't know I forgot all my hobbies. I didn't even know what they were. I was terrified, and, you know, I'd never lived on my own before because I got married when I was 21.
Damn, that's true.
Right out of Barbara's house. And then
into him,
I moved in with my brother for 3 months, but after that I was in my house, and I did feel incredibly safe. I would say physically safe. I loved my house that I bought. I lived alone. I was not home much, but I was very happy to have that house. Your whole world is torn apart. It didn't hit me for a long time that I was being abused. So to just come to grips with that, it was really hard. And you do kind of feel like your people around you have failed you, you know, and whether they knew the full breadth of what was happening or not. And I don't put that responsibility on any of my friends or family, but I can tell you that when I have friends whose husbands are moody, sad boys, I pay a little bit closer attention. Yeah. You know, there's red flags that I think are really subtle that you might not pick up on if you haven't been that type of victim. Yeah, but I keep my eyes peeled, I tell you. Yeah,
that's good. Who would you say, like, helped you so much, and, like, what was helpful for your healing at that time?
It's so funny because he's not good with emotional people. My poor old boss. Like, I needed that job, and I needed those I needed the therapy.
The things we tell to our bosses and our coworkers is unmatched.
He's a sweetheart, and he was going through a divorce at the same time, and we were it was sad, but he just let me cry at my desk a lot, and I needed to do that sometimes. I would get back up and I'd go, you know, wrench on a piece of equipment, but I had to cry sometimes. I needed crying breaks, and he gave me those. My friends carried me. I would have them show up to my house, you know, when things were really dark. They would just show up. Yeah. My family, of course. I never cry about this anymore. You must have, like, magic powers.
It's the glasses. Yeah. Here, look at my eyes. I see you. I see you.
My family is incredible.
Yeah, they are. I know them. Can I stop then and tell you a story about your mom that I absolutely love? Now, this is such a deep cut, and it is because of Barb, okay? So when I was a kid, I would go to a campsite that was, of course, homeschooled with my sister, and my mom, for some reason, couldn't take us or like had too much going on. But your mother was one of the leaders of it. So she was so kind. My mom would drop me off at your house growing up, and then she would take us up to camp. Mind you, I was like probably 11 years old. And every time she would have about 3 different CDs that she'd pop in the car. And one of them...
Bangers only.
I know, she really did. And they were strange. Okay, I learned puppeteering from her, by the way.
Was it bagpipe music?
Some of it was, yeah. And we were okay with that. Like, hey, you know, every music has its jam, you know, you have to just be in the right mood for it, I believe. But no, one of the crazy things was there was these 2 guys that were playing acoustic guitar in a small venue. And wouldn't you know, it was Rhett and Link. So
that's hilarious.
And that was before their YouTube videos came out that they were singing, like Cornhole and Facebook, like, yes. Oh my God, which I loved.
I didn't know they were famous for anything besides that until recently.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So it's so funny because like Gen Z and all these other people like know them because they have such a huge platform. And I was like, dude, I remember when they were teenagers in like Minnesota or wherever, just playing on a guitar, and somehow your mom just got a hold of that CD and was like, hilarious. I love these people.
I didn't know she had that.
Yeah. I didn't know who it was. Like I was just like, Rhett and Link, okay. And then I saw their videos later on Facebook, on YouTube when that started getting popular. And the rest is just history. That's so funny. Your mom really is like...
She has very niche music taste.
Yeah, she really is. Yeah, she's like a hipster without...
She is.
Hipster hippie.
She's a Jesus brand hipster, I would say. As a compliment.
You know, there's always one. There's always one in the crowd. But okay, so you are now remarried and a mama. Okay, so what difference do you feel with your current partner, and how has it felt? I don't know what I spelled. M-A. Is that an H? Oh, it's a K. Making it to this point in your life. So how does it feel making it to your point in this life and like having a partner that is so different?
I thought it would be, because I'm dumb, I thought it would be smooth sailing because you get rid of one bad guy, you know, terrible, trash, garbage. Right. And then you have a person who's kind to you. Great, perfect, everything is great. It's not.
Mm-hmm. It's work.
It's been really, really difficult. And him and I, you know, he would say this too, it has not been easy. He's got his own past traumas.
Right.
We're both humans with messy pasts, of course.
Yeah.
He is very kind and he's very sweet and he definitely loves me a lot. But I still ascribe these qualities to him because I was basically a child when I got married the first time. Like my formative years of what is a marriage, what is a husband, were all mostly bad things. So I expect him to do things that he would never do. And I anticipate this behavior from him that I would never see. It's so ingrained in me as a trauma and a fear response to expect him to be mad about blah, 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 whatever, that it's a hard time for me. And most, like, we have our issues like a normal married couple would, but a lot of stuff I have to really continue to heal on and double down and say, nope, that's just you being a weirdo because your ex-husband was a dick. The planning things, the going places, he's not as social as I am, and he's fine with me just dipping out and doing whatever I want to do. And it's natural and it's easy for me to be like, all right, I'm out of here. I'm either taking my son and or the dog, bye. And he's like a homebody.
Yeah.
He's more introverted. So it's too easy for me sometimes to not include him, and I am the boss. I'm bossy.
Right, yeah.
I'm the manager. So he's just a go with the flow kind of person, and I am not at all in any way like that. And this is something I'm actually noticing recently. I don't really include him in my plans ever because I'm scared of a response that I'll never get from him.
Damn.
And I want to be in control of everything that ever happens. I always drive. I just went somewhere yesterday, and I'm like, sorry, I got to drive. So when I'm trapped in a car or someone else is driving, it's just... especially a man, is too high. And it does, you know, it affects my marriage, it affects my parenting because I constantly have to weed between, is this a trauma response? Is this a normal marriage thing? Am I justified? And something I had to really unlearn that was really, really hard is that, yes, sometimes I am right in a marriage. So I think sometimes with my husband, I swing a little too far that way.
Right, yeah.
I'm always right now. And there's just so much nuance. I think having a marriage between two people with maybe a little less trauma, everybody's got some stuff. I think a marriage is really hard between two people in general.
Yeah.
So I'm not belittling that by any stretch, but I think when you constantly have to second guess your gut and make sure that, you know, you're acting like a normal human being and you're not being over apprehensive about stuff that's not a real threat. It's really hard. It's exhausting. And I don't think I'm that good at it, honestly. I don't really think I'm a great wife. It's something I need to work on. We can all use work.
Yeah, can we all? Yeah. Well, that's cool. Well, can I ask you then, if you met him, when did you realize like, oh my God, this is different? What stuck out to you?
You know, I dated a few people, and I can say this, and I'm not trying to hurt my husband's feelings because I love him dearly, but I should have stayed single longer before I met him.
No, and that I think is also very normal too. Like being like, oh, I maybe should have figured some stuff out first.
I think that you know, when you've gone through something so horrific, you know, any little bit of healing you think is, well, we've made it, kids.
Right.
We haven't. No, I'm a basket case still, but you know, I think if I'd had more time to be single and figure out who I really was, I think I'd be better at being a wife. I was a year and a half out from my divorce. So I dated a few people in between him and my ex.
Yeah.
And he's older. He's 9 years older than me. So he was like, I think this is the Jesus mentality of, well, this is about marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was 29 then. So I was like, well, getting old here, you know, if I ever want to have kids. I didn't want to get married again.
That's so young too. Yeah.
I know.
Isn't
but
that crazy?
Subconsciously, I think the fact that he was older, he has 2 kids already.
Yeah.
I knew he wasn't just there to party or whatever. Like
Right.
I met him online and I talked to him. And at that phase when I met him online, I was still drinking, partying, being an absolute basket case.
Yeah.
And he is, forget how many years sober from drugs. So I knew that would be a terrible match.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was a dime. I am a dime. And he was like, I would love to meet you. And I was like, you know what I'm doing with my life right now is not conducive to what you're maintaining in your sobriety. I was like, see ya.
Yeah,
and I just kept him on my Facebook, and I dated somebody else for like 8 months. And then after I broke up with that guy, I just hit him up. It was too easy back then. I was young, you know?
Yeah.
It was too easy. I was like, hey, are you still single? What's up? You want to hang out?
Yeah, right.
And he came over and we got ice cream, and he pretty much never left.
We got ice cream.
But he was very
that's how you do it, huh?
There's things about him that obviously, you know, they always say like, what is your dad like? My dad is a chill guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's chilling. He's not often frazzled. Like my husband is pretty chill. He loved his kids, you know. He did not want to go out and do shenanigans. I knew he would be healthy for me because I was starting to phase out of that. My liver's going to fall out if I keep partying like this. Yeah. And I was starting to seek out like calmer activities, and he's just a little homebody. So
yeah, talk about calm.
Yeah, he's chilling. Sometimes he's a little too chill. He needs to be a little less chill. But yeah, he was miles apart. He's unbothered by a lot of things. And when I say that my ex-husband, I could answer the phone a certain way and he hated it. I could breathe too much. We stopped eating together about halfway through our marriage because I was eating too loudly. My spoon would touch the bowl and he would freak out. So
damn.
I think it was the calmness. In a long roundabout way to answer your question. I think it was he's chilling. Yeah. I'll never chill.
Yeah. I love him. My husband is always chilling too, no matter what. And I'm like, don't you get upset? And he's like, about what?
Good for him. I don't understand it, but I love it.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is like he'll listen to my ranting, and I'm like, that's all I need, because I need to just get this out because it's up here. But they don't and absorb it's me.
If you tell me a stressful story, I'm there with you.
I know.
They're just like,
he doesn't. He does absorb it, but I'm like, you have any opinions on that? He's like, no, not really.
What are you? Are you human?
Probably not. Yeah. I probably did marry an alien.
Well, that's nice though.
Okay, I gotta go to therapy. I'll be back. Runs away. Okay, so if someone is watching this while in the midst of an abusive relationship, what would you want them to know, Liz?
Man, I would say maintain as much of your friendships and relationships as you can, because those are going to be your North Star. When you're deeply, deeply in an abusive relationship, your reality is so skewed. You need to get out of that. And I think for me, the military was a lot of that, is being around people who, I wouldn't say they were normal, but they were happier, healthier, and their existence was not fear and pain and waiting for the next whatever. And I think you need to keep normalcy around you, even if you're not ready to leave. Start to dismantle what you're seeing every day and ask yourself, is this what I want for the rest of my life? Because that's the question, I think, that really got me out of the marriage, is after one horrific episode of screaming and him, whatever he was doing, I was like, do I want to do this when I'm 80?
Well,
no.
I survived till I'm 80 too.
I probably wouldn't have, you know?
Right.
We don't know how long we're going to be here. I don't want to waste any more time being miserable.
Yeah.
You know?
Hell yeah. No, I think about that a lot.
Yeah.
I think about death a lot too, but that's another story.
So cheery.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing, is people meet me and they're like, you're never sad or anything, right? And I was like, oh no.
I just be thinking about death all the time.
Oh no. Well, I do relate to the thing where it's like you start to open up and kind of like throw up trauma. Yeah. I'll say it that way in a calm term, right? And you do notice the face of like, what the fuck is going on from the people around you. But I would say too, if you have those people around you and you don't feel comfortable telling them something that is not positive, literally go and find anybody else. Because the people that want to hear it, they don't have to be close to you to like take it in. Right. There are people that are comfortable with hard subjects, and there are people that are not. That is their own thing, right? It's not for us to judge. But if you need that, it's out there.
Yeah.
hey, I'm always in a DM, you know? Follow me through. It's fine. I like to hear the trauma. It's all good. I'll internalize it, but then we'll figure it out, you know? But no, that's really cool. And I think too, something that I love about this is I think a lot of people have a lot to say and nowhere to say it, right? And we have a lot of people that are wanting to be heard and no one's listening.
Right.
And that fucking sucks. Have you ever been in a party or a room trying to talk to someone and they just look the other way?
Well, it's
Excuse
hard
me?
when you feel
know?
like your particular niche of trauma or experience is so unrelatable that you can bring it up as a fun party fact and everyone is just like, I can't.
Yeah.
Even if they're sympathetic to what you're saying and they're open to hearing it, there's a little bit of, I can't relate to that. That makes you feel pretty alone when you've gone through some weird stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. So, you know, gone through weird stuff, find weird people.
Yeah.
I'd say that too,
Yeah.
for sure. Well, thank you, Liz, for doing this. I was wondering if you have a song or album you think the audience should hear in their lifetime. You have anything on mind?
Anything by Wesley Willis, honestly.
Okay. What do you like about him?
Have you ever heard Wesley Willis?
Maybe. I am really bad with names and
Rock and Roll McDonald's. That's all you need to know.
Okay. I'm going to search
Look
that
it up after.
I'm going to search that
You're
up.
going to hate me so much.
Okay. It's still going in there.
Excellent.
From higher hell water, or whatever they say. I said it backwards. Okay. Dyslexic. I am going to let us go. Thank you, Liz, for doing this.
Of course.
I just literally yeeted out of there. So I'm doing Patreon.
Okay.
Would you want to talk about MLMs?
I love talking about
Would you want to talk about cults and such?
I love talking
behind a
about
paywall?
cults.
Now, at long last, Nardwuar meets his match when he goes up against the most incredibly strange and original thinker and musician in North America today. All 6'6" of creative and chronic schizophrenia, profile and courage in a way, Wesley Willis.
Who are you?
I'm Wesley Willis. Open the can of horse whip. Open the can of horse whip. Open the can of horse whip.
Welcome to Canada. How's Canada treating you?
Canada's doing good, just like smashing a horse's head.
You know, I want to say, Wesley, there's a church dedicated to you in Canada. Have you seen this? The Wesley Willis Church.
Yeah,
This is not like a joke church. This is like the real deal. What do you think about that, Wesley Willis?
that's cool.
Now, you've been kicked out of church, haven't you?
I've been kicked out of church after I've been going crazy on those preachers.
Think they'd kick you out at a Wesley Willis church at all?
Hell no. You rock your daddy's Cadillac. You rock your daddy's Cadillac. You rock your daddy's Cadillac.
Have you been to any Taco Bells at all? You're going to have a hard time in Vancouver. There's no Taco Bells in Vancouver.
I don't like Taco Bell.
What's wrong with Taco Bell?
Taco Bell will make you take a poop.
Are you fake? Are you real? I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna clap now. There we go. I have it. Oh, I forgot to test my sound. My God. My God. Okay, wait. Stop this shit.